Pilots are professional unicorns. They're tricky to find, and their attention is difficult to capture because they're rare. In the U.S., pilots only make up 0.13% of the population. Statistically, that makes pilots more uncommon than doctors. So rare, in fact, that if you were a passenger in a 747, the odds are that you could find a doctor on the flight, but a spare pilot would be unavailable. In the ocean of eyeballs on the internet, separating pilots out of all that traffic is one of the most challenging things to do. The closest out-of-the-box option is to jump on Facebook Ads Manager and use filters to attempt to target pilots by interest groups and pages they might follow. The problem with this approach is that there are 10 times as many people interested in aviation as there are pilots, and there's no way to know exactly how eyeballs end up in these segments. LinkedIn is another option for advertising, but you're really only limited to professional pilots on that platform, and they only represent 26% of the market. So even if all of them are active on LinkedIn, there are still over 400,000 eyeballs that you have to throw away, and it severely limits the type of pilots you can pursue. In a world where a successful marketing campaign is the product of a good message, interacting with a relevant audience, advertisers who need to reach these eyeballs require empirically qualified data if they want to make sure that they aren't wasting marketing dollars on the wrong audience. It's no secret that the FAA publishes data for pilot and non-pilot certifications, and this data even includes technical qualifications for each record. So not just full name, address, and license type, but also license level, license category, associated ratings, medical class information, and even type ratings obtained for specific aircraft. The FAA separates this data into two databases that are available for anyone to download. Combined, they represent more than 8 million data points on over 600,000 pilot records. We've been combing through this data by hand for years, and finally decided to build a simple tool that allows us to quickly isolate the most valuable segments within the database. The software makes it easy to pull lists based on any category or multiple categories, and also has the ability to isolate geographically based data by the radius around a zip code. These features allow for extremely creative segmentation because it allows us to find pilots based on multiple qualifications nationwide or within specific locations. The most powerful capability built into the tool is the ability to compare a current database to a previous database and provide results based on changes in new data. That allows us to isolate the following data. We can show new records that represent new student pilots, updates and addresses for current records, pilots who've moved, changes in license levels when a pilot passes a check ride for private pilot, commercial pilot, ATP, or CFI, new instrument-rated pilots, new multi-engine pilots, new helicopter, gyro, and glider pilots, etc., and pilots with new type ratings in specific aircraft. As a sales professional, it's beyond exciting to understand the behavior profile of your market and have the ability to specifically isolate that data. Data is only as good as the action you put behind it, though. Isolating the data is just one step. Inevitably, you will end up asking, what do I do with this data? Of course, you will want to find these people online at scale, but we have to build a bridge from the data to the eyeballs in order to get there. Running an addressable geofencing campaign against the data solves this problem. To understand why, it's important to have a grasp on the infrastructure that underpins advertising in the digital environment. In the early days of online advertising, popular and niche websites began selling dedicated space on their pages to advertisers in the form of banner ads. To organize this ecosystem, supply-side platforms were developed to sell the digital real estate across millions of websites to the highest bidder. The purpose of SSPs today is to allow websites and apps to monetize their web traffic without building their own ad platform or hiring people to sell their digital ad space. Inversely, demand-side platforms were built to distribute the creative of advertisers on ad spaces available across hundreds of millions of apps and websites accessible to supply-side platforms. One website may have ad space accessible by multiple SSPs, and each of those SSPs may be receiving ads from hundreds of DSPs. The interaction between the SSPs that manage advertising space and DSPs that manage the ads that are displayed is called programmatic advertising. Addressable geofencing is a targeting technique available on several DSPs. It combines the features of geofencing that targets devices inside of a digital fence with data derived from addresses. Advertisers submit a list of addresses to the DSP, and the DSP creates a digital perimeter around it by referencing the shape of the property associated with plat maps that are available digitally. Using this technique, an advertiser's creative is distributed onto devices browsing the web within the geofence. None of this would be exciting if we only had access to banner ads on news websites and small random apps. There's also over-the-top advertising. OTT is the industry term for advertising on streaming platforms like Hulu, Peacock, and Amazon Prime, or through smart TV operating systems like Roku, Amazon Fire, Google TV, or SmartCast TV. Needless to say, the ability to advertise on TV is extremely attractive and provides some of the highest levels of perceived credibility for any brand. This is powerful. It wasn't very long ago that the only option for advertisers who wanted to get on TV was to purchase the reach of the entire network. Addressable geofencing allows advertisers to literally cherry-pick the eyeballs they want to influence and isolate their televisions exclusively. On top of programmatic and OTT capabilities, meta ads can now be used to distribute ads with addressable geofenced targeting at scale on Facebook and Instagram. In the world of digital advertising, Meta is widely considered the most effective platform for call-to-action-based marketing. The ability to target physical addresses at scale on this platform is a game-changer for advertisers who know their exact market. This is where the fun really begins if you're trying to reach the eyeballs of pilots. Combining the targeting available through addressable geofencing techniques with advanced database filtering is the leading-edge strategy. Now advertisers have the ability to create a list and deliver digital creative to highly targeted eyeballs on 3 separate mediums, with nothing more than a physical address. First medium is programmatic advertising. That achieves top of mind at efficient CPMs. Second is OTT advertising. That solidifies credibility. And third would be meta tools, Facebook and Instagram. That provides an avenue for call-to-action-based marketing. Simply put, an omnichannel approach to targeting allows the advertiser to engineer awareness and intentionally convert the awareness into action. Don't forget, this data can be filtered for specific locations, and additional prospects can be regularly added with new data every month. As an example, airlines need to attract more pilots over the next few years, and there aren't enough people going through flight training to meet the demand. This makes getting in front of pilots currently in flight school a priority for them. Having access to this data gives the airline an edge on recruiting because they can position themselves as the first and loudest voice in front of the newest segment of pilots at every stage of training. The airline would then use the data to deliver content to those eyeballs and integrate them into their recruitment funnel. Detailed information on the addressable data like home value, property type, year built, and square footage is also available to us. That unlocks an additional level of targeting with a financial qualification attribute. So if you're a jet broker who targets single pilot owner-operators, you could make a list of pilots who are qualified in single pilot jets and live in homes worth more than $2 million, and then intentionally put a message in front of them. You can even target devices that visit multiple geofences. So if an advertiser develops a list of relevant pilots and/or A&Ps, they would be able to isolate the ones visiting large aviation events by setting up a fence around the address they're from and the address of the conference they're going to. These ads would be able to be delivered while they're in the building and after they leave. I even use these tools to fill my own pipeline. As an aircraft salesman, I start my prospecting by identifying geographical areas that I want to develop in my territory. Once I know where I'm going to focus, I create lists from the database that isolate relevant records within 100 miles of these locations and qualify these lists based on real estate value. This list is worth investing in with digital ad delivery and retargeting combined with direct mail, and converts identified prospects to leads and ultimately pipeline. There are no tricks. There's no voodoo here. I'm not selling a magic pill. I just believe that understanding what's behind the digital curtain is the best way to make effective decisions and get in front of decision makers. Simply put, if any part of the business you're involved with needs to get in front of A&Ps, pilots, or a precise segment of pilots, the three-pronged digital approach of addressable geofencing with programmatic distribution, OTT, and meta ads is the smartest way to ensure they know exactly why you exist and what you're up to.